Welcome to the lounge. Let's see if we can get this thing working properly. And yep, still not used to this thing. They changed it so much. Let's see if we can show you our face. How do we get this down? There we go. I hope you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you can. Welcome to the lounge. Tonight, very, very interesting show. And stick around, share it out if you like. We're going to be talking about, of course, politics. And guess who's not coming on the show tonight? My co-host, Stefanos, will not be on the show tonight. I think he's in love. He claims that he's got the love bug or the flu. Is it the bird flu? Well, we'll have to wait till next week's show. We've also got Lisa Robinson coming on in a week from now. But for tonight, it's a pleasant surprise. I found out this lovely lady is running for politics. Welcome to the show, Jody Ledgerwood.
Hey, Ed.
How's it going?
Going well.
So I was kind of surprised that you decided to run for federal politics. Surprised, but not surprised. What got into you?
Well, as friends, I've been thinking about this for many, many years. It wasn't a I guess it was a spur of the moment. I still figured we'd have at least till October, if not a year, before we would actually have to make the decision. But Carney threw a wrench in the plans of giving me some time to actually think about this and gather a team together and called an election well in advance of what I thought he was going to do, because he was telling everybody he was going to call the Emergency Measures Act. So I'm shocked he didn't do that.
So hang on. Mark Carnage, just so we're clear.
Yes.
I got the name right. It's Mark Carnage.
Carnage? Yeah. I like it.
Well, he's done nothing good for England or the UK.
Everywhere he goes, he spells disaster for every country he lands in.
And the fact that he's buddy with Ghislaine Maxwell, we've seen those pictures.
We have seen those pictures.
What other connections does this man have? Is he a man even?
Well, he's connected to the global predators. He's been to Bilderberger. He's part of the BIS. He's part of the IMF. He's part of Brookfield.
Hang on. BIS, Bank of International Settlement.
Correct. IMF.
International Monetary Fund.
Thank you. The WEF.
World Economic Forum. That's Klaus Schwab's gig.
It is.
Who, by the way, that was not started by Klaus Schwab. That was started by a Canadian communist by the name of Maurice Strong, who also coached Gerald Butts. Yeah. And he's the guy that took Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Castro's stepfather.
Yeah.
We're talking about Justin Castro here. His stepdad, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, was a flaming, with the Olympics and all that. He was a flamer. This was well known. It's been well hidden. They've tried to erase this from history. They took him from the Communist Party. This Maurice Strong did that and got him into the Liberal Party.
Yeah, he started Canada's real destruction. Although we were already on that path, he just took us further down the path and solidified it and started the selling off of gold and all that wonderful stuff and signed us into a whole lot of stuff with the UN. So he just continued on their eugenics pathway. And before he was prime minister, he was part of the eugenics club and quite openly part of it.
Who's this?
Pierre Trudeau.
Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Yeah, go back and trace his historical roots. Yeah.
So there's also a connection, something to do with Justin's mom.
Margaret Trudeau.
And the Carneys, yeah. There's some kind of relationship there. I got to write these things down. It's just too much info going by.
Well, I know that they were talking about, was it Kyle Kemper, or she was married to a Kemper, and the Kempers are Carney's cousins or aunts, uncles, something like that, I think is the connection.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it yet.
No, I am not in it. I don't want to be in it. What I want to do is take the club down if we can. I think that's our only way out of this tyranny.
All right. So What is the process? So is it too late for anyone to consider running for as an independent for federal politics?
Not too late at all. Basically, you have to, in order to run, you have to get 150, well, 100 signatures. But you want to get more than 100 signatures because you have to attach those signatures to your nomination papers, then send it into Elections Canada to the elections officer. And that election officer has up to 48 hours to keep your paperwork and vet all those signatures on your paperwork. And if there's one signature that for whatever reason doesn't pass the mustard, everything gets sent back to you and you're declined, and you got to go out and try and fix whatever the reason was for being declined. So my goal right now is to get 150 signatures. I've got 92 signatures. I just started last night. So I'm doing fairly well. And I've got a small team of supporters that are out there getting signatures. Friends Joyce and Jody and Tim are out there getting signatures as well for me. Actually, Joyce just dropped off 2 sheets with 20 signatures on it, which was fantastic. And I'm pretty sure Jody's got 10 signatures, and I haven't heard from Tim yet what his calculation is, but Chris and I have hit the pavement last night and we hit the pavement again today. And so with Joyce's 20 and what Chris and I got, we're up to 92.
So is there a standard form that you have to use?
Yes, there is. And I actually have a form right here. So that's what the form looks like that you have to get signed. You just need people to print their name, get their address, and then sign their signature. They have to be over the age of 18. They have to be a Canadian resident or a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, and they must, and this is the key, they must live in the riding you are applying for.
Okay, so I can't drive out and sign yours.
No, I wish you could, but you can't. Now, once I get accepted as a candidate, then I can accept donations from anywhere across Canada. But until I actually get accepted as a candidate on the ballot, all I'm allowed to do is get signatures.
Okay, so I just arrived back into Canada on Monday morning. Monday afternoon, I'm driving up to Stouffville, and usually I know the corners where they're supposed to have signs, and the only people that got the signs out are the NDP. And this is a
Well,
traditionally liberal slash usually goes Tory riding on
right.
Markham Stouffville.
Well, I can tell you here in Oshawa, sorry, here in Coburg, I saw John Coheen, who is liberal. I saw his sign go up across the road from me, literally within an hour or so of them announcing the election. So clearly, some people had the heads up, of course, because I don't know anybody that can get a sign done in an hour and out onto a party supporter lawn that fast. But he had his sign out there. And just today was the first day that I saw Philip Lawrence's sign. He's a conservative. But I have not seen the NDP or PPC or Green or anybody else in our area. So I think the call of the election took a lot of people by surprise as well. Because normally by day 2, day 3, you would see the election signs out and about. And you're right, we're just not seeing them yet. And I've heard from a few different people saying that they don't have any candidates in Oshawa yet. And so far, we've only got 2 candidates here in Northumberland. So I think everybody is scrambling last minute. And when I say it's not too late to apply, it's not. I still don't have my nomination papers in. I'm just currently getting the signatures. But you have right up until 23 days before election day to apply to be a candidate on the ballot. So we've got until, I believe, next week, because I believe the election is April 28th. So we have until what, April 4th, April 5th to get your nomination papers in and be accepted as a candidate.
So you recommend 100. So they go to which website do they go to get that form again?
Electionscanada.ca.
Okay.
You can just Google Elections Canada and it'll come up, and they've got all the wonderful headings there. How to be a candidate. and you click on how to be a candidate and everything is right there. They've got a link so that you can download all your nomination papers. And when you download your nomination papers, there's like 34 sheets of paper that come with that. But of those 34, about 15 of those are that form that I just showed you for collecting signatures. So they do recommend that you get somewhere between 120 and 150 signatures. That way, if anyone doesn't pass the mustard, you don't have to start over or wait those extra few days. Go get more signatures and then reapply. So if you got about 120 to 150, that should solidify your seat as a candidate, as long as you pass the mustard with everything else. Also, when you hand in your paperwork, you also have to fill out on your nomination papers who your official agent is and who your auditor is, and optional is an official delegate as well. And those are people that basically run your campaign from behind. You don't necessarily need an auditor. However, if you collect more than $10,000 in donations, or if you happen to, by luck, get more than 10% of the vote in your area, then you need to have an auditor on file.
Okay, good to know. So it's why are we talking about this, guys? Because I think there's a lot of our audience that's watching this and thinking, "Oh, I could never be a politician." Actually, you can. Look at the idiots that have been running the country for the last 50 years. Are you smarter than a fourth grader? Well, I think you are, and I think everyone in our audience should qualify as a, better than the fourth graders that are running the country till now. All they're doing is damage.
Exactly.
If we had dogs running the country, we'd be in better shape than we are now. So please, people, think about it seriously. It can be done. I think we had a few independents that were elected in the provincial election. That was a snap election too.
Yes, it was. They're doing that so that they're creating a lot of chaos and confusion, so people can't get their ducks all in a row. And I was talking to someone earlier today when I was getting their signature, and they were talking about that. They know other people who ran in the provincial, and they just said how difficult it was to try and pull everything in all at once. And because it's a snap election, you don't have time to get banners done, pamphlets done, signs done, go out and knock on doors and represent yourself properly. So unless you're part of the party system with that party backup to support you, it's really, really difficult. And I think they're doing this as well because more and more people are waking up to the corruption that's going on in our government. So more and more people are stepping forward as an independent. In our House of Commons in the last session, we had 3 independents. So don't say independents can't win; it's a losing battle, because we had 3 in our federal government, and we definitely have one. Bobby Joe from Haldeman, Norfolk, is in our provincial legislature. She's an independent. So it is not an impossible task. And I can tell you from talking to people, especially today, I went to small businesses downtown Coburg, and I was talking to them, and a lot of them are fed up. They're done, and they're seeing the corruption, and they are ready for change. They're ready to get out of this passing of the torch back and forth between the Borg parties. So if small businesses are at their limit, then I think more and more people are at their limit. And last night, I went to my dad's lawn bowling, where he plays lawn bowling in town. And I was shocked at how many people, and most of these people are over the age of 50, how many of them are done with our traditional political system and they are ready for an independent voice. So if that's going on here in my little small town of Coburg, which was typically a liberal town. That being said, we do have 2 conservatives that are representing us provincially and federally. But up until recently, we've always been a liberal town. So if my little town of Coburg is this fed up and ready to hear an independent voice, then I'm sure this is probably the temperature all across the country.
Well, even in was Kelly was telling me that in Panama, the country of Panama, they had an election last year, and over a third of the candidates that got elected were independents.
There
Now
you
that
go.
throws a wrench into the whole system.
Right. So
Yeah.
if we can get, I was kind of doing the math, and I thought if we can get at least 50 independents, we are going to throw a huge rock into the pond in our house if we can get 50 independents in there. That's like 50 actual civilian voices in there making decisions. And if we can get at least a third of the house filled with independent voices, we can actually basically form a coalition together, and then we get to decide who the prime minister is. Not one of the Borg party, but the independents can get together and decide on who our next prime minister is. Because in Canada, we don't vote for a prime minister. Um, people always say, oh, we got to vote Justin out. Well, unless you're in his riding, you don't get to vote him out. If
So
you're in
that's,
Carney's riding, that's the only way you get to vote him out. So,
you know what? Now I'm thinking, this might just be the election where we actually pull rabbits out of hats. And if people are that disgruntled
mhm.
and they actually put the X on your name, it could actually happen. So
It-
send me the artwork. I'll get your signs made up ASAP. I'm
okay.
serious.
Well,
I'm serious.
like
How
I
many do you
said,
want?
I've got 92 signatures so far, and I only need to submit 100, but my goal is to have 150 by Friday, and submitting all my paperwork by Friday, so I'll know by Sunday whether my name is for sure on the ballot or not.
Yep. So I'll use the same sign guy I used for the when I helped with the PPC riding here in Markham Stouffville. And the candidate, I got so upset. He wouldn't take time off work to go knock on doors. He didn't even donate his own cash to his own campaign. It's like what? Could
Wow, because you can donate up to $5,000 of your own cash to your own campaign.
So and signs, you can get signs made for about $3 a piece, 24 by 18s.
Really? That's a
Yeah.
great price.
Told you, send me the artwork. I'll have it. I'll get it for you in a few days.
I will send you the artwork. I'll get Chris on that right away.
Hopefully, less colors, the cheaper it is too. By the way.
Well, I was discussing with one of the small business owners in town here, and they were asking me, well, if you get your signatures, what color are you going to go with? And what was funny is I was wearing a red hoodie yesterday at the lawn bowling, and my hoodie says, I am a free Canadian, hashtag whatever it takes. And one of the ladies who signed my nomination, she said, so what party are you running for? Apparently, she missed me saying, I'm Jody Ledgerwood. I want to run as an independent. So she asked me, well, what party are you running for? You must be liberal because you're wearing red. I'm like, no, I'm running as an independent. So that struck me how much people identify with those blue, red, green, and orange colors, hence the Borg. So I would have normally done a red sign because my real estates are signs are red and purple. Red catches people's eyes, but now I know to stay away from red because people automatically assume if you've got red on or red on your sign, you're liberal. So I think what we're going to probably go with is a yellow because a construction yellow still catches people's eyes. It's vibrant enough, people will see it.
I don't know. I'd consider using conservative blue because none of the conservatives that are running know anything about conservatism. They sure hell know a lot about progressiveness, which is communist socialism leading into communism. They're
Yes.
good on that. It swung so far to the left that there's no one actually on the right anymore. We're not talking about hard right either.
No.
What I'm
No.
talking about hard right today is what liberalism, true liberalism, was in the 60s. That's how far it's come.
Well, it's all one big party now. There is no separation of parties. There is no conservative versus liberal. It's all communism. Communism, fascism, whatever you want to call it, feudalism. That's what we have right now. Everything operates from the top down, and it's one master that's calling all the shots, and the whips go out, and they whip all the MPs sitting in the seats, and the MPs have to do whatever the whip tells them, or they're kicked out of the party. So that's our government. They no longer listen to the people. They don't listen to the constituents. And after the Supreme Court of Canada ruling of People versus Little Child, the Supreme Court backed up that the fact that MPs no longer have to listen to their constituents. They can say to the constituents whatever they want in order to get elected, make as many promises as they want. They do not have to uphold those promises once they get into the seats. And the reason being is we have a system that operates on whips, and they get booted out of their seat if they don't do what the whip says. So you may think you are electing a representative by voting for a Borg party, but you're not. That representative is not allowed to have your voice. Think of how big Canada is. You don't know where that whip is from. That whip could be from Nunavut. Well, the people in Nunavut don't give two cahoots what's going on in Newfoundland or Ontario. So that guy from Nunavut is telling your representative exactly how to vote on every single issue, and he either does it or he's out of a job. So if you are sticking with the Borg party for voting, you are literally throwing your voice away.
Isn't that how it works in China?
Yes. I don't even know if China gets to have an election, to be honest.
Well, they do have elections, but they're only communist party. You can either be a communist or a socialist.
Yeah.
Those are your two choices, right?
And they're one and the same at the end of the day. They're not doing anything different. They still are a surveillance state. They still operate from a place of fear.
True, but there's more freedom, financial freedom in China today than we have here in Canada right now.
I wouldn't say that. Their government works on the social credit system. So their government still can say yay or nay to you purchasing that piece of bubble gum. And a lot of their vendors now are operating on the biometric CBDC system. So I wouldn't say that they're more free in the financial system right yet. We still have the option of saying yes or no. They don't get the option. Their government is giving them the options.
Okay, so those stories were being passed around. Now, these were all based on trials that were going on in one of the cities. That's has since stopped. Most of the country doesn't have that going on. From what I've heard, I've been hearing different stories from different sources, and I'm starting to lean away from it because they've got socialism, but they also, if you have a military member or a government member holding 51% of the corporation, owning it, you're good to go. So they're just there as like a puppet. Now, I remember in former Yugoslavia, it was the same thing. You had free enterprise to a limit, but someone from the military or from the government had to be on your board of directors or be the CEO. Now it's just a figurehead. They really didn't affect things much, but they just made sure that the government got their taxes. That's basically what their job was. So there was some free enterprise. There was some major companies, and they did. If the guy on the CEO that worked for the government was actually doing his job, he actually got money from the government in the form of grants or whatever to expand some of those businesses and put more people to work. So that's the way it went in Yugoslavia. And I think China, it's a different system. What they're doing in Russia, in the Soviet Union, again, a different form of communism.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can't criticize your government. We're losing that fast. And if Mark Carnage becomes the next prime minister, they're going to come down hard on us. That's why I was down in Argentina thinking I might have to hit the road myself and find places for my other friends to live with me because they're coming after a lot of people. I don't know if you heard about what happened to Jeremy McKenzie.
No, recently, no.
I think it was early this weekend. He went down to, they're close to the U.S. border, and they figured, you know what? Let's see if we can get across. Let's see what's going to happen. Most of his cases didn't even go to court, and the ones that did, he beat them all.
Right.
And he was at the border for 9 hours, him and his girlfriend.
Really? Did they let him across after 9 hours or no?
Well, after 9 hours, they kept their phones because they had burner phones with them. They kept those.
Right.
And you know what it's all based on, that information?
No.
Canadian Anti-Hate Network articles. So they flag him in the system, and then they put that crap, that propaganda in there to screw him over. So I don't think he's going to try to run to the United States anytime soon again.
At
Even
least
in
not through a
Mexico.
border crossing.
Mexico, when they went down to Mexico a few months ago for a week of holidays, well
Right.
deserved. They were stopped there again by the Mexican border guards, and they're kind of scratching their heads. You haven't killed anyone. You haven't been convicted of any crimes. Well, why are we even talking to you? Like they couldn't understand why he was getting flagged, him and his girlfriend. So
Wow.
the tentacles reach deep. So guys, this has all come to you by the conservatives and the liberals. Now, people don't realize this, but the conservatives, what's his last name?
Doug Ford?
Doug Ford, yeah, Butterball. He was given money to Canadian Anti-Hate Network also. So Doug Fraud is nothing more than a liberal in a blue suit. So
Well,
we
they're
have
all one big rainbow uniparty. You know that. I know that. I like to refer to them all as the Borg because that's exactly what they are. They all work together. They're all in cahoots together, and they're all run by the same master at the end of the day. You know, whether it's the black nobility, whether it's the UN, whether it's the bankers, they're all being puppeteered by someone other than an elected Canadian.
yeah. Well, anyways, this show is called the Lounge, so you're expected to have a drink.
Well, I've got my water.
You got your
It's a
water.
boring drink, but that's me.
I got something different tonight, guys. Let me show you this. I don't know if you can see this. This is my cup, my teacup or my coffee cup, which I haven't had coffee yet since I've been back. And this is my drinking straw.
Oh, it's like a slushy straw.
Actually, they use this for mate, and I'll turn it on again so you guys can see it. That's all loose leaf tea.
Oh, okay.
And the problem with making your own tea, like you can have mint in your garden, you can pull linden sprouts in the spring off your linden trees to make tea. There's all kinds of teas you can make. And the problem with loose leaf tea, you got to suck up that stems all the time, right? When you drink it, some of it floats around, some of it gets churned in, and it's kind of gross, right?
No, get yourself a tea bag, a reusable tea bag. That's what we use. We do. There's a weight loss tea that Chris makes up. There's a blood pressure tea that he makes up, and a lemon balm tea. And it's all fresh herbs and stuff, and ground stuff. And we were finding even with the infusers that the finer particles were leaking out, and yeah, you'd have all this crap in your cup. But we found reusable tea bags, and you just fill up the tea bags and you don't get the crap in your cup. It's amazing.
So these are tiny, teeny, tiny holes. You don't get the crap, and if you get the crap in your mouth, it's so fine you don't even notice it. So this is what they use as a drinking straw for the Argentinian traditional drink, which is mate. It's a very highly caffeinated. I don't know what family of herbs it is, but it's actually quite good for you. And
Nice.
lots of caffeine, so you have a couple of those in the morning, and you get to go for the rest of the day. Like I haven't had my afternoon crash since I started drinking mate in the morning.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
And
that's way better than coffee. I
yeah,
don't drink coffee, but though for those who drink coffee.
well, I've been drinking coffee since I can remember,
Oh,
and
wow.
I haven't had any coffee now in a couple of days.
And no major headaches or anything from it?
Nope,
Nice.
nothing. But it's nice to get the caffeine boost, and it is a green tea, so it's something good for you.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm having stinging nettle tea with a bit of honey.
Oh, nice. That's really healthy for you, especially
Uh,
if you're suffering like through cold and flu season. It's a great tea to have.
Stefanos, if you're watching, I hope you're taking notes. Let me quickly put this in the chat.
Stinging nettle tea, white pine needle tea, really good to have. Throw some ginger and some garlic and honey in there. Fantastic. Bit of lemon. Yum. I
Yeah,
love a
yeah.
lemon, honey, and ginger tea.
Do we have to live in your area to vote for you, Jody?
Yes, you have to be in my riding, unfortunately. You don't have to be to support me financially, but you have to be in order to vote for me and in order to qualify as a signature on my sheets.
So apparently, the yellow sign is for libertarians, according to Hesham.
Oh,
Which
I
is-
didn't know that. Thanks, Hesham. I don't think we have any libertarians in our area, or at least I don't recall any libertarians ever running. Doesn't mean that we don't, but I don't recall.
That's funny because the provincial libertarian annual meeting is held in Coburg, isn't it? Or is it Port Hope?
Honestly, I don't know.
It's Coburg, yeah.
Is it? I know the
Yeah.
Ontario Land Association always meets here in Coburg.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Have you ever heard of? That's right. It's sorry, my mistake, guys. The provincial libertarian party meets north of where you guys are,
Oh,
south
okay.
of Rice Lake somewhere. Look who tuned in, Carl Duville. Remember Carl?
Yes, I do.
He was the boss at
Coventry.
Coventry. Yeah. Hey, Carl, how's it going?
Hey, Carl.
Carl gave me a nice wake up call one morning at 1 o'clock in the morning, saying, "Ed, you got to move that fuel tank, or you're going to lose it." Well, thanks for the 5 minutes notice. And I got more bad news for you. Says, what's that? It says it's full of fuel. Can't take it on the highway. Yeah.
Oh,
But we were able to get that fuel transferred into a bunch of other truckers. Some people had fuel tanks in the back of their pickups.
yep.
Then we filled a whole bunch of jerry cans, about 20 or 30 jerry cans full of diesel. And away the trailer went with the
Nice.
giant can.
The good old days when we
Yeah.
all worked together and we all loved each other.
You know what's the best about that?
But
I've been doing the protests since 2018, almost every weekend.
right.
And I was getting disgruntled and was upset because people just weren't figuring it out. And we're doing all the podcasts and we're getting the social media and doing all the protests and so much time and energy. And I'm thinking, when are the people in this country going to wake up? And then I roll into Ottawa Friday night and it's like, wow. Sounds like a perma smile for me. My cheeks got sore because I was smiling nonstop, and I never smile.
I know. I don't think I'd ever seen you smile so much as I saw you smile for those 3.5 weeks.
To think that it wasn't done for nothing, that people actually tuned in and figured it out.
They
But
did.
yeah, fun memories from that. It was brutally cold, miserable weather. Some
Yep.
days were decent, but the fact that you had Frenchmen talking to people from Western Canada and they're helping each other out, then guys, whatever happened to the East-West divide?
It
You
didn't
know,
exist.
it doesn't exist because the politicians said it existed. That's how it existed. And this is all
Exactly.
bullshit to divide us and push one side against the other. And meanwhile, they go right up the middle. So that unified the country more than anything, and it scared the shit out of them, the politicians. The fact that
100%.
yeah. So
And that's probably why they're calling these elections so quickly and giving nobody any time to organize, because look what happened when we had just 2 weeks to organize or 3 weeks to organize. How Canadians just came together as one united front against the government. It was amazing. So they're afraid of that happening again, hence the reason for all the chaos and last minute election calling and all of that sort of jazz.
yeah. So I just got back from Argentina, and for those people that are thinking, "Oh, you were in a third world country," I'm in a third world country here now. I said, "Come on, Ed, that's not true." He says, "Oh yeah, people there live to live. They
Yeah.
work to live, not live to work." The medical care there is so far beyond Canada; it's unbelievable. So
Really?
you know how I've been hobbling around for the last 3, 4 years?
Yes.
It's because my right knee, the one that was never damaged, it's been so arthritic that the pain was just radiating up and down. And I thought it was muscular, but it wasn't. It was severe arthritis, almost bone on bone, major meniscus damage. And the guy was actually surprised that I was still walking. The damage was so bad. But
Wow.
you get used to the pain, right?
Yeah, you do. It dulls over time.
And then to actually go there, get an MRI done within hours. and get the
That's
results.
amazing.
In 48 hours, I had the results already. And to see a top-notch knee surgeon in 5 days.
Wow. Did you have the operation then, or an operation?
No, I could have had it in a week if I
So why
wanted to.
didn't you?
Because I figured I would try some other alternative, something like alternative, or see if I can rehab it. He's quite skeptical. He says the damage is so far done, you're gonna need it sooner or later. And
Right.
they were talking about options. He says, well, the only option that you might consider is getting a injection of hyaluronic acid. Said it's 60% chance of success. You might get a week of relief. You might get up to 3 years of relief.
Oh,
Choice of
wow.
choice. So I said, you know what? Let's try it. And the guy was straight up with me. He says, but you're going to need a knee replacement. I says, well, I started talking numbers and dollars and cents. Asked him about insurance. He says, no, I don't have any insurance. So, well, it's about $10,000 US. I said, what's that pay for? He said, well, this is a rough estimate, but they'll pay for your hospital stay, the nurses, the anesthetist, the actual hardware, the operating room, my time. It'll be around 10 grand. And then you got physiotherapy for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Physiotherapy visit, $15 US for an hour and a half.
That's it?
And they're way better than the physiotherapists here in Canada. Because not only do they do the physiotherapy that I was getting done here,
Yeah.
they'll also stretch out your legs. They do magnetotherapy, which I've never seen here in Canada.
Wow.
And they've got a few different alternatives. And then they'll also do a deep tissue massage
Mm-hmm.
if you need it. And then they'll also stretch out certain muscles. Like I got more relief going to physiotherapy there in 2 months than I did here in Canada in 10 years. Like
That's
they're way,
amazing.
way better. And here in Canada, physiotherapy, it's a 3-year course. Down there, it's 5 years. Yeah,
Wow.
to be a physiotherapist.
That's amazing.
So here they work with the doctors also, but down there they're really tied in. The doctor and the surgeon will be tied right into the physiotherapist, and they're always going back and forth.
Right.
But it's really, really good medical system, and the prices are crazy. Like it's really decent, and they treat you so well down there. People are so nice and friendly, and people eat well down there. They don't make a lot of money. Average wage, I believe, now is up to around $1,200 a month US.
Right.
So about $1,800. Gas about $1.10 a liter US.
Right.
But housing, you can rent an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, on the outskirts of Buenos Aires for $600 a month.
That's it?
Your utilities, heat. Well, hardly anyone has heat, but
Right.
hydro, you're looking at about $30 to $40 a month.
Wow.
And then food is I'd say it's about, on average, depending on where you go and shop, I'd say it's about 60% of what we're paying here.
Really? So it's fairly reasonable to live, which makes sense on the wages then. You don't need a big wage if it's affordable to live.
Well, if you want to eat on fresh fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
for $5, you get 4 giant plastic bags full of fruit and veggies. It's crazy. Like it's literally crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No
And
wonder they're so much healthier than us, or they look healthier than us.
And sure, they have the big shopping stores, but a lot of people still go to their local butcher. There's
Right.
local fruit and vegetable vendors, and the stuff comes in almost every day in crates. And most of the produce that comes into Buenos Aires is coming from, I think it's the area is Cordoba. I've forgotten already. But anyways, huge growing area, big farm, major farming country. So they got areas where there's farmland and good rain and water, and they've got some greenhouses because it gets a little bit cooler in the winter, but still you can get a crop right through the winter. So
Amazing.
they've got it like 12 months growing. They don't. The southernmost part of the country does get snow.
Right.
There is skiing, alpine skiing in the Andes.
So how far a drive is that?
27 hours.
Oh, okay. So like driving to Florida. Okay.
If you want to go skiing.
If
So
you
they
want to
take,
go skiing. Long weekend vacation.
yeah, so if you want to go skiing in July, you go down to Argentina, the south end. The ski lifts will be open, and away you go. So they've got everything we've got here, pretty much. Houses, it's an older city, so parking was an issue
Right.
in Buenos Aires.
Narrow streets.
No, what they did is they converted everything to one-way streets.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they just do that to frustrate drivers then. It's like
No,
driving
one-way.
in Peterborough. It's all one-way streets.
No, but like everything is one-way streets, pretty much, except for the major thoroughfares that are, you'll have two-way traffic. And in the morning, there's got one of the main roads has got like 10 lanes.
Right. Oh,
So
wow.
they'll convert. So on Sundays it's 5 and 5, and then in the morning they'll have 8 going into the city and 2 going out of the city.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Jarvis Street where they've got those lights with the big X and then the green check mark.
Yeah.
So that works really well. You can go. I mean, driving from one end of the town to the other if there's no traffic, or sorry, if there's traffic, but if it's reasonable traffic and there's no accidents, you'll
Right.
have like 10, 15 green lights in a row.
Nice.
So they time the lights quite well
Right.
to adjust for the flow of traffic.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's a good country. The tap water is good, safe. I don't know if they've got fluoride in it.
Right.
I did ask them. Nobody gave me the answer.
Right.
And
Did
the
you
weather,
take your dog with you?
yeah, of course, Bubba was there. No, she didn't. She doesn't bark in Spanish.
Oh, that's too bad. Did you pick up much Spanish while there?
I was working on it. I picked up a few words, not many, but it was starting to come along after the. I find you start hearing words and it starts clicking and like I know what that means. I know what that means. So I was
Right.
kind of on the cusp of learning Spanish, but it's tough.
Mm.
But as soon as I got back, someone says, "Well, what do you think about this?" I said, "See, I mean, yes."
I love it.
So it's starting to kick in.
That's
Uh,
awesome. Well, it sounds like you had a really great time, and it was a very knowledgeable trip for you.
yeah. No, I did not meet Javier Malay. I was thinking about putting in a request for an interview, but then I figured I didn't know how much longer I was going to be in town, and I figured let's go check out the rest of the country, which I did not end up doing because I ended up going physiotherapy 3 times a week.
Right. Well, see, then you had time to meet Javier. All you had to say is, I'm a Canadian and I was in the trucker convoy. He probably would have met with you.
You think I don't know? I talked to people and they had no idea what the hell I was talking about. I mentioned the convoy; they didn't hear about it.
Really?
Yep, just like we don't hear about the protests that happen almost every Wednesday in Argentina.
Every Wednesday.
Almost every Wednesday.
Really? I know we've heard a few of them, but not weekly, that's for sure.
Yeah, and for International Women's Day, I went down in the evening,
Yeah.
and there was Antifa there. There was the symbols with a fist. I seen the books, the communist books that they're pushing on to the students. They were selling those. They had the unicorn flags, the unicorn fans for waving yourself. So yeah, they're starting to push that shit. Now,
Oh,
other
no.
conversations I had, and I had a conversation with one girl that she had a lady partner, so she was on the other side.
Right.
And she says, you know what? A lot of us gay people, we can't stand this shit. She says, we really, really can't stand it. We're glad that we have our rights and we're okay with that. But the fact that they're pushing that and they're using it to push communism, it really upsets me. And
Yeah.
she voted for Milei too. And then the reason why Milei got in, because people were so pissed off with what was going on with previous governments, corruption, the millions and millions and millions of dollars being stolen from the public purse, which is what drove down the standard of living in Argentina because the politicians were taking all the money.
Right.
And people were getting pissed off because they'd hear stories about, well, they'd have 2 guards working at the presidential palace.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 30 of them were actually employed, but only 2 would show up. So where were the other 28?
At home,
At
at the
home with
beach.
their friends, at the drinking, doing the other shit, right? And get paid.
Exactly. They were siestaing.
So, even if with the shift, 8 people could do that job easily with the round the clock shift work.
Right.
And, people hear about this stuff and they're working for their money and they're decent, hardworking people, but they're getting ripped off and they knew that. And that's what got Milei elected because his party was a brand new party. It had only been in existence for a year before the election was called.
Oh wow. That was the Netherlands, right? The BBB party was a brand spanking new party, only around for like 2 or 3 months before the election. Actually, I think it was formed as they announced the election and they won.
Where was it?
So in the Netherlands, the BBB party.
Okay. But you won't hear that on government friendly media because they don't want you to hear this kind of stuff. Thinking, what, a new party could actually win power? No. The Canadian public will not hear about this one. Let's think them. They have no choice except to vote for the existing 3.
Exactly. And the BBB won because they came out in support of farmers. So almost every farmer's field had, anywhere from 5 to 100 BBB signs in it. You drive down the highways and it was BBB signs in every single farmer's field. So the farmers came out in droves and voted them in. So if we could actually get the people who don't typically vote, and we know there's about 70 to 80% of Canadians don't vote, that are of voting age, if they actually showed up and voted for independence in their area, we would literally swing the government and make change overnight. And people don't understand that. If you show up and you throw a wrench in their plans by voting in independence, they're screwed at the end of the day. You can't, you can only election fraud so much. But if that 70 percentile that doesn't ever vote, because what's the point? It's all the same, blah, 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 blah. If you actually showed up and cast a vote for the independence, we would win this country back.
Now, what are you going to do about the Dominion voting system?
Well, here's the thing. Typically, and I don't know so far this election, but typically our federal election doesn't use the Dominion voting machines. It's all hand ballots and hand counted. Now they did obviously for the provincial election, and we know that those machines are rigged to create a voting outcome that they want. And we know that that's been proven time and time again in the States. And I know this election, I was talking to several of the election officers about the machines and how they work and what happens. And I know with the non-confidence votes this year, they were told to include them with the spoiled ballots. And at the end of the day, they didn't get counted. And so that's something, because if there's more non-confident votes than there is votes for an actual person, that is an automatic recall of the election. And you have a new election in that riding. So we know our own government right now is terrified that the people are standing up. And I asked the lady, have you had many non-confidence votes? And she said, oh yes, more than I've ever seen before. And she had been running elections for several elections. She said she's never seen so many non-confidence votes, but this year they were taking the non-confidence votes and including them in the same envelope as the spoiled votes and not counting them. But not only were they doing that, this year was the first year, if you did a non-confidence vote in the provincial Ontario election, they actually scratched your name off. Instead of just checking your name off that you voted, they actually were told to put lines through every person that voted non-confidence, which means your vote was no longer confidential. And all of that paperwork gets turned into the elections office, which gets turned into the province. So our government knows exactly who voted non-confidence in the last provincial election.
I'm surprised. Where is Steph? Steph is in love. He's got the love bug. He's got the bug. I says, yeah, maybe the love bug. He claims it's a flu. I say it's a bird flu because I think he's full of shit, but I'm sure he'll get pissed off and maybe he'll come join us tonight.
He comes online. Can he not get up and just be half decent for an hour?
I don't know. But I've never seen him sick for the whole time I've known him.
Wow.
For him to have the flu.
Is he running in the federal election as well, or?
No, I think he only runs provincially.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So, guys, it's not too late. Jody, how can people get a hold of you?
You can reach me on my cell phone, 905-269-7653. You can reach me by email, jody@tfmreport.com or info@tfmreport.com, or go to our website, tfmreport.com, and you can reach me through there on the contact us page. But a text, an email, all of that works. I'm fair. And actually, if you just Google my name, Jody Ledgerwood, it'll come up with my information because I was a realtor for 18 years. Well, I'm still a realtor. I still have my registration. So it comes up. I'm very, very easy to find.
Okay, great. And do you have your platform up? Do you have a profile page or anything with what you're going to do when you get into politics or?
I'm not allowed to campaign at all until they approve me. So I don't have anything up, but you want to know what my political views are? You can watch any episode on tfmreport.com. You can go to my Instagram page. All my social media is under my name, Jody Ledgerwood. So my Facebook, my X, my Instagram, it's all under Jody Ledgerwood. I'm very open with what my views are. But here's the thing. If I get voted in, if I get my signatures and my name gets on the ballot and I get voted in, it's not my voice that matters up on the hill. It's your voice that matters. As an independent, I actually will get to be your voice. And I don't believe in dictatorships. So what I'm looking for is if I get elected, if I get my signatures, if my name gets on the ballot, if I get elected, I'm looking to hear from Canadians. And, I've been working with Kellyanne Wolf and Richie on the direct democracy websites. I know they're not ready yet, but I know it is a priority. So I'm hoping within the next year or two that will be up and running, where people will actually have a direct say on every bill that's passed and whatever it is that you would want me to do for you as a representative. And I'll tell you this right now, too. I'm a big believer that if you're an MP, you represent all of Canada. You don't just represent your riding. Now, clearly, your riding is super important, and because you live in that area, you should be able to have one-on-one meetings with people face to face. You should know exactly what's important to that area, and you should be able to bring that to the table. But being an MP doesn't mean you only speak to the constituents in your area. As far as I'm concerned, you're responsible to all of Canada. You're a representative of Canada. So, if you see something going on that you're not happy with and your representative isn't representing you in the House or isn't returning your phone calls, call me. I'll talk to you.
Okay, what's the phone number again? I'm sure people are scrambling for a pen and paper there.
Okay, phone number 905-269-7653. That's 905-269 sold.
Okay, great. So if people, if you don't want to knock on doors, we need people to put up signs, which will start getting made tomorrow morning. If I get the artwork tonight.
I'll talk to Chris.
I'm serious. I'll get you.
I know you are. That's why I said I'll talk to Chris.
And
I'm sure he's already got something in mind for signs. Yeah.
it'd be great to have you in federal politics, and then you can get us all the juicy behind the scenes stuff.
You got it. Canadians deserve transparency. They're paying our MPs a crap ton of money to be up there and representing and doing their research and doing their homework. So they better be doing their research and their homework. As they're giving themselves raises, people are struggling to put money or food on the table. So you reach out to me. I will be there for you. And I have no problem with transparency and saying, hey guys, pay attention. This bill's going through. Or hey guys, what do you think about this bill? I have to vote on it. So what do you think?
I think we're out of time. We got to end the show. See you next week. Thanks for coming on. Bye.
Bye.